We inherited a reserve of over 33 billion 16 months ago. Since then, we have paid back the inherited Forex backlog of 7 billion. We have cleared the ways and means debt of over 30 trillion naira. We have reduced the debt service ratio from 97% to 68%.
It's very obvious that Tinubu wants to show Nigerians that he's working hard to reduce the hardship that he created himself, but using false numbers and figures makes a mess of the whole attempt. Let's look at the $7 billion he claimed. The central bank announced in February this year that they discovered that $2.4 billion out of $7 billion being backlog of Forex claims by airlines and companies operating in Nigeria that the central bank couldn't fulfill over the years during Buhari's administration. They conducted an audit. The audit was conducted by Deloitte. They found out that $2.4 billion was fake, that the people claiming they needed that amount of Forex couldn't provide documents to back them up. So the $2.4 billion should be subtracted from the $7 billion. That will give you $4.6 billion. So claiming that they have settled outstanding $7 billion is misleading. It's not up to that. Now to the ways and means. He claimed they have cleared 30 trillion naira. This one is not only misleading but an outright lie. What comes out of the mouth of Tinubu should be fact-checked by all his handlers, because when he is talking, Nigerians are listening. Not only Nigerians, foreigners that have the intention of investing in Nigeria, whether under his administration or in the future, they always listen to what he says and what comes out from Nigeria. So when he makes this kind of statement that can't be verified, or that agencies under his administration have said something different in the past, it doesn't put Nigeria in good light. Now, cleared is an English word and the meaning is not ambiguous in any way. When one says he has cleared his container from the ports, it means that he has taken possession of his container and all the goods contained therein from the ports, from the port authorities, from customs. He has settled everything concerning the container, and as a result, he is now in possession of the goods inside the container. That's what it means. There's nothing remaining there in the ports. Also, when someone says he has cleared an outstanding debt he's owing a bank, it means he's no longer owing them a penny. He has cleared everything. Is that the same case with the 30 trillion naira that Tinubu claimed? No. Let's start from the beginning. Buhari borrowed 22 trillion from the central bank. They call it ways and means. It's like a loan from the central bank. They will make a request from the central bank. Central bank will just print naira and supply to the government. And Buhari did it for many years without authorization from the National Assembly, as the law stipulates in Nigeria. It was at the tail end, just a few days before the expiration of his tenure, that he went to the National Assembly under the leadership of Ahmad Lawan. They authorized the 22 trillion. And since Buhari didn't inform the National Assembly ab initio, he didn't also tell anyone how he intended to spend the money, all the projects he intended to spend the money on. He didn't tell anyone. And up till now, no one can say, hey, this is the project where they spent this 22 trillion. These are the roads. These are the massive buildings that they constructed. It remains unknown up to today. After the National Assembly authorized the 22 trillion borrowings by Buhari administration from the central bank, the government now converted it to bonds with the help of the DMO. As you can see in this document, securitization of the 22.7 trillion naira ways and means advances at the Central Bank of Nigeria. So effectively, they converted a loan obtained by the federal government to a loan that will be repaid by the federation. The federation consists of the states, the local governments, and the federal government. So effectively, everyone will be paying for a loan that the federal government obtained under Buhari. He didn't tell anyone what they were using the loan for, but now everyone will have to repay it over a period of 40 years, according to the document by DMO. So effectively, this is like kicking the can down the road. As a matter of fact, the loan repayment hasn't even started because there's a moratorium of 3 years. So no one should call this cleared. It is not cleared. It is not repaid yet. The loan is still there to be repaid over a period of 40 years. Many people don't understand the kind of problems they've put Nigerians into. Think of it like your parents obtaining a loan from a bank without collateral. All they needed to obtain the loan from the bank was just their name recognition. The bank trusts that their children will repay the loans when they grow up, get a job and start working. So now that you are still young, when you grow up, you will start working, earning a living, and start making effort to repay the loans that your parents took on your behalf about 30 or 40 years ago. This is exactly what the federal government did. Now, it is not only 22 trillion that the federal government obtained as ways and means. 22 trillion is for Buhari administration. Under the current administration, they have obtained more than 10 trillion as ways and means. But they announced 4 months ago, as reported by Nairametrics, FG has paid back 7.3 trillion naira of ways and means outstanding so far. In August, the Punch newspapers reported that the central bank may loan over 746 billion naira to the federal government. This was after the National Assembly amended the CBN Act to increase the percentage of the ways and means from 5% to 10%. The percentage is measured against the revenue of the federal government, since they announced a revenue of 7.46 trillion naira. According to the act, they can borrow as much as 10% of that revenue from the central bank. So as you can see, the claim that they have cleared 30 trillion naira ways and means is outright misinformation.
Our country attracted foreign direct investment worth more than $30 billion in the last year. Fellow compatriots, our administration is committed to free enterprises, free entry and free exit in investment.
Now, this is the big one, $30 billion FDI. Where is it? The best fact check for this $30 billion is from the government itself, the figures they reported in the past. It was reported by the same government on February 17, 2024. As reported by Vanguard, FG secures $30 billion investment commitments. So as at that time, they called it commitments because they haven't invested the FDI in Nigeria. Even up till now, all the commitments from India after he met the Indian Prime Minister at the G7 meeting, or was it G20, including the one that was later debunked, even the one they announced in Qatar, they were later debunked. So when someone says that he's committed to doing something, he promises to do something, you can't claim that it has been done until it is done. Yes. If a foreign investor says he will invest $100 million in a factory somewhere in Lagos or somewhere in Ogun State or even in Aba, none of the governors can claim to have attracted $100 million investment in their different states until that investment is made, until the foreign investor comes to invest and build a factory and it starts functioning. You can now claim, hey, we attracted this factory from so-so country. So the fact that the so-called foreign investors promise to invest so-so billions in Nigeria doesn't necessarily mean you have to claim that they have done it. Because when you say you attracted, it means the investments are already in Nigeria. They exist. They are employing people. So this is outright misinformation meant to deceive Nigerians. In contrast to their claims, many multinationals actually left Nigeria in the same period. Over the past year alone, up to 7 or 10 of them have left Nigeria because of the currency issues, the naira devaluation, the low purchasing power. The so-called largest market in Africa is now on paper. Even going by GDP, we have dropped to 4th position. So as you can see, despite having a population of more than 200 million, we are comparable to countries that have about 10 or 20 million because it is the purchasing power that counts. If out of 200 million people, about 10 million or thereabout live above the poverty line, That means Nigeria is comparable to countries where they have fewer people, since about 10 million alone live above the poverty line. It means anyone coming to invest will be counting on the 10 million, not the 200 million people. In conclusion, it seems as if Tinubu and co are still in campaign mode. When you look at that speech, it sounds like something someone will say when he is campaigning in a campaign rally. I'll do this, I'll do that. Just cut and join figures that are non-existent to impress the crowd. That's exactly what he's doing. But the reality is that this is time for governance. They should face it. It's not about grabbing and running away with it. They should just focus on the job. No need trying to impress Nigerians with false figures. And it shows how low they've taken governance in this country. When they can't even fact-check his statement, the world is watching. Nigerians are not deceived. Thanks for watching.